Hi, I'm following along with Paul McWhorter's Raspberry Pi lessons on lesson 33. He took our Python keyboard reading functions and put them into a class and then put it all over into a separate file and using it like a library. So that's one reason to use a class is so that you can uh, move your code out of your main program and everything. But we're actually only using that class one time. And an important thing to me about classes is that you can reuse that code and have lots of different instances of that code. And I think that's where the power of classes for me comes in. And like I said, it works really good for what Paul wanted to do it too. But I thought I might show a reason a reason for using a class that shows off the different instances. So let's get to the code. I'm VNCing into my Raspberry Pi here, and I got it set up, and I got three blinking LEDs: a red, a green, and a blue. And you might notice they're all blinking at different times. So my class for this one is a timer class. So first of all, we'll start at the top. We're importing time, and we're also importing our uh, Raspberry Pi GPIO module as well. We're setting up our VCM because I'm using the uh, numbers on that. And setting up just 3 pins, 13, 19, and 26 as outputs, setting them up as that. And he said, we could have done that in our timer class, but actually we couldn't because we don't know what it would, I guess, my point is we can make as many timers as we want, so you don't really want them in the class. So here's my class. So all we're doing in the class is we're doing a init, we're doing a check for if it's time to um, do our time thing, and then also a change interval if we want to change what our timer is. Once you initialize a timer, it's going to stay in your code. So, but sometimes it might be a reason to change that interval for some reason, either user input, or you might want to change it as the program proceeds or something like that. But so we got, you know, just those three methods in our timer class. I also I think it's important to have readable names for our methods and everything. So I call this one change interval. I couldn't really come up with a shortened way of doing it without, not having it be available to us. But I also don't like to use long names in our code. And, not a really good typer. So if I can get away with shorter names, I do. So I've noticed that they had what they call aliases where you could put, VPython lets you shorten your names, and the PySimple GUI library that I use also lets you shorten your names of your methods. And I did a little bit of investigation and come up real quick that it's simple to put aliases in. All you got to do is take the root of your method and make it equal to some other variable. And again, just that simple that you can do it. So now you can change interval by calling change interval dot whatever, or you can or dot change interval, or you could use dot CI. So I'm just pointing out that sometimes I know in the OpenCV they have some doozy of a names, underscores, and everything in their names of things you got, and sometimes you take a while to make sure you got it right and everything like that. And after you know what the code does, it's nice to have a shortened name for it. So I probably be using this somewhat, and if I make classes in the future, I guess. All right, so let's get down to the code. So this is like our setup here. It's before we get to our wild true. So this only happens once. So we're setting a variable called red time to 0.1. And then we're creating 3 timer objects. So we're one called red, and the time is starting out to be this red time up here, which is 0.1. We also have the green timer, green, making a green timer and a blue timer. That, you know, the LEDs that we have, we're going to blink them. So we'll show that in a little bit. And they all have different blink, you know, on intervals on them. So that we got that. So we're setting them up that way. And so right now I have this commented out, but we'll get to that in a second. But let's go down to this. The red one is doing the same thing. It's just got a bunch of code in between. I don't want to confuse you. So all we're doing is every time through our while true, this is running just as fast as it can. It does this check, which is non-blocking, and it's going to check it. And we'll go up here to the thing. So it's going up here, and it's getting the time monotonic, and we're seeing if that is greater than our previous time that we set in our interval. In our initializing our interval, we just put the interval self-dot interval, and we also initialize the beginning time, start time for our thing. So where our start time and actually ends up being our previous time, like previous millis, and that plus the interval, and then if it's greater than that, it's time to trigger our timer. So if it's past that, then we say, you know, we're going to return a true value to this method, and if not, then we're going to just return a false method. And if it's true, we also have to reset our p time to that. So that's what that's doing. So when you get this green interval, if it's false, so this is if the return from check interval is, or green check is false, then it's not going to do this line. But when it comes back true, it's just going to do this code here where it toggles the pin. So what you're doing is you're reading that GPIO pin. We're on the green one, and then we're making it not, and that just flips the value. This is a one-line way of toggling your your pins on your machine, on your Raspberry Pi. And we're doing the same thing for the blue. And remember, the blue has a half a second interval, and the green has a little bit faster, 0.3 interval. And right now the red has a real fast 0.1 interval, so it's blinking fast. So as you can see, they're running at different speeds. The blue's slow, the green's medium, and the red is really fast. So you can just see it running. So I'm going to go ahead and Control C out of this code. So Control C, stop the code, and I'm going to uncomment all these. Let me get my head out of the way here. Edit. And now my head's in the way over here. Pull it back though. Toggle line comment. So we'll get rid of it. All right. So now what we're going to do is when we check the red and it comes back true, we're going to add 1/100th of a second to it. So it starts out at 0.1. So this is going to increment pretty fast. And then as long as it doesn't get up to a half a second, then it's going to keep incrementing. But then when it gets above a half a second, it's going to, red time's going to go down to 1/10 of a second. So this is actually just increasing up to from 0.1 to 0.5, and then going back and starting over. So you're getting like a sawtooth thing with it. So this is showing, and then like I said, I got that red.ci, which means change interval. Remember, we got our shortcut up there. I could have just as well have put change interval down here and it would have worked as well. You don't have to, you can choose which one to use. You can use either. So, it takes a little bit for this to change. It's probably like a 1 minute, speed up before it goes back, but we can go ahead and get it started and show you, maybe try to show what's going on with it. Should have had a better way of doing this. They're blinking. Right now, you can see red slowing down. Now, oh, there when it just got faster, and it's red slowing down. Green and blue are doing their own thing, but the red is changing its interval every time it changes state. It's changing its interval. Now it's fast again. So, and you could, like I said, you can have as many of these timers as you want. You can put probably 20 timers in still, because it's so fast checking it that you probably, as long as you didn't have a real short interval in there, you'd probably still catch it. But it might get off if you had like 0.01 intervals or something and you had 20 of them, it might slow down. But I was mainly just showing the principle, and then like I say, you just start your timer with the time, and then you have to, every time, you don't want to have anything blocking in your loop, and you just want to check it with an if statement each time, and if it comes back true, then you can do something. And anyhow, that's my favorite thing to do with classes, is that you can make multiple things with them. See, those that took the VPython, every time you make a sphere or whatever, or a cylinder or whatever, you're making a instance of that class, the cylinder or the sphere class. So VPython does that a lot. Anyhow, that's my video for today. So thanks, Paul, for all you do, and look forward to the next lesson. Have a great day.